All right, so moving on, something else I want to show you. On February 24th, there were interesting games involving the Cavs and the Warriors, who both won. Last year, on February 26th, I was able to predict that the NBA Finals would be Warriors and Cavs. And the NBA Finals started exactly 98 days later and went to overtime 98 to 98. The Golden State Warriors ended up winning the game 108 to 100. Golden State Warriors has gematria of 108. LeBron scored 44 in that game. So anyhow, the NBA Finals start 2 days earlier this year. They start on June 2nd instead of June 4th. This year on February 24th, which is 2 days earlier than February 26th, I was interested in the games. Notice this is a span of 99 days, though, because this is a leap year, so it's not exactly the same, and for that reason, this information could be bunk, but at the same time, I still see something that's very fascinating here, so I want to talk about it. LeBron James in simple English gematria equals 114, and the small way 42. Last year, he had his career worst game early in the season in Oregon facing the Blazers. 114 days later, on February 26th, he had his season high of 42 points against the Warriors. And the Warriors and the Cavs both retired the jersey for Nate Thurmond, who wore number 42. So anyhow, this year on February 24th, which is kind of like February 26th last year, it also happens to be a date with 42 numerology this year, important to the NBA Finals. On this date with 42 numerology, the Cavs defeated the Hornets, where Michael Jordan now works for the team, this NBA legend. And I noticed in the game, the Cavs won 114. LeBron James equals 114 the big way. LeBron scored 23 points, the number he wears with Cleveland, also the number Jordan wore for the majority of his career. I don't think this was a coincidence. I think this was just another numerological tribute. The Cavs winning with 114 on this date with 42 numerology. Meanwhile, the same day, the Warriors were playing the Heat, LeBron's former team. Curry in this game had 42 points on the date with 42 numerology. The next day against the Magic, he would score 51, giving him a sum of 93 points in his 2 Florida games. And as many people know, Florida is a state controlled by the Jews. 93 is a very important number in Israel, the Zionist state. Israel was drawn up on the date 9/3, September 3rd. So I don't think Steph Curry dropping 93 points in Florida was any coincidence either. I think that was another tribute to essentially his Jew bosses who control the NBA. And I don't think anyone's doubting me when I say Jews control the NBA. Before you had the little midget, David Stern. Now you have the guy that looks like a space alien, Adam Silver. The Jews own all the sports leagues. Why? Because it's big money. It's also a control tool, and these people control the world, and they keep the manpower of this nation who could fight back against it sitting on their ass watching these rigged sports games. So anyway, just wanted to document this from February 24th. I think these were some more number-related tributes. Cleveland again on the 51-year drought going back to 64. Remember, Cleveland has the gematria of 51. LeBron James has the gematria of 51. Cleveland Cavs has the gematria of 51. If they don't break it this year, I don't know if Cleveland's ever going to win a sports championship, honestly, again. They might be done for. So we'll see. Another ridiculous story I caught in the headlines recently, Kyrie Irving blames flu-like symptoms that sidelined him with bed bugs. A few years ago, the mainstream media was going bed bugs crazy. Not so much these days, but here's what stood out about this story. It was released on a date with a life lesson number of 33, a number that connects to Cleveland. Bed bugs themselves also have gematria of 33. You got the word blame in there, a 33 word. Illness, ill's a 33 word. Supposedly, he contracted the bed bugs from the Hilton Hotel. Hilton has gematria of 33. I don't know exactly why they like to put these stories out there. You know, Perhaps it's just for people like my mother who read these headlines and then worry about bed bugs for the next 3 years straight, using their athletes as tools in their fear mongering. So, anyway, Truth Seeker, I think we've covered it all. I expect a Warriors Cavs repeat of the NBA Finals. That would be par for the course for the NBA. They're very redundant with the teams that show up in their championships. But what I want people to learn is how the games are rigged and why they're rigged and to see through it. I mean, I remember last year in the NBA playoffs, the Warriors had the record comeback against the Memphis Grizzlies. Do you remember this game? As I was watching the game, I was asking myself, who's watching this game right now in the nation and not scratching their head as to what's going on? The Warriors came back from, I think, a deficit of 37 points, something huge. And if you watched the comeback, it was just pathetic because the Memphis Grizzlies, they weren't doing anything that looked like trying to play basketball for a win. They weren't defending. They weren't getting back on fast breaks. They weren't rebounding at all. There was no boxing out. They weren't even trying to score. They were turning it over with sloppy passes, taking horrible shots, rushing. Nothing you'd want to do with a 37-point lead. Normally, you'd be milking the clock, playing smart, playing defense, playing for the win, especially in the playoffs. And as I watched it, it just gave me deja vu of sports rigging I've seen in the past. The most notable in my memory is 2000 Western Conference Finals, Blazers versus Lakers. The Blazers went into the fourth quarter of Game 7 with a 23-point lead and then essentially played just like what I described of the Memphis Grizzlies. Took horrible shots, didn't rebound, didn't defend. They played to lose in the fourth quarter, and they did. That game ended with the highlight of Shaq throwing the alley-oop to Kobe. Or was it vice versa? I can't think now. But anyway, I can think of Shaq running down the court with his arms in the air. And I'm just thinking, this is the WWF. I mean, this is a joke. And it always has been a joke. And for all of you who don't think these leagues are rigged, I don't know what to say to you. And let me address your one argument that I know is on your mind. You're saying, well, if Curry didn't make the shot at the end of overtime, then what? Well, then what? Perhaps they have plan B for another seemingly score that would fit their agenda. But the fact of the matter is, these guys are in the NBA. They're the best at their profession, and they should be making shots when they're given the shot. I'm an amateur athlete, but I'm also a pretty skilled athlete. I'm very good at shooting a basketball. I'd be willing to play horse against a lot of NBA players. I can shoot really well. So when I see a Steph Curry out there draining threes, I think finally, I've been waiting for this my whole life for a player like Steph Curry. He is a very talented player. More NBA players should be like him. These guys are paid millions of dollars to play basketball. So often I'm watching as a fan, watching these guys miss wide open shots and just thinking, why are these guys paid to play? This is horrible. Like, I just watch these guys brick shots that I've been able to make since I was a child. These million-dollar athletes who go to the free throw line and can't make a free throw, it's pathetic. Since I've been 10 years old, I could shoot 90% at the free throw line. And so can a lot of other people, I played high school with Derek Ravio. Some of you basketball players, you might know his name. He played at Gonzaga, went to Madison Square Garden, torched North Carolina in Madison Square Garden. He's a great athlete. He's not in the NBA. But he could be there. He has all the skill in the world to be in the NBA. He plays professionally in Germany. So I think a lot of these people you see in the NBA, I think they're born into the gang. And Ravio himself might have been. His father played for the Los Angeles Lakers, but supposedly his career ended when he dropped a chainsaw on his foot. So, those of you saying, well, how do they make the shots? I mean, they should be making the shots. They're pros. Maybe to you it seems far-fetched and hard to imagine. That's because you're not an athlete. You're not good at basketball. I can back up what I'm saying. You guys want to come to a basketball court with me? We'll shoot all day. They say Steph Curry made 77 three-pointers in a row last year. I don't know if he really did that. That would be amazing. But at the same time, I think if I was paid millions of dollars a year and just practiced basketball all day, I might be able to make 77 three-pointers in a row. Just saying. So for you who can't see how they rig it, I think it's because you don't have the mind capacity and also you don't have the physical ability to know what it's like to be a great athlete. You know, I grew up as a kid who played sports and dominated the other kids. So I know what it's like to be at the top of my game. Just saying. All right, that's enough about me, Truth Seeker. Until next time.